So Ted, I have some good news. I wanted to share with you the prototype so far. Here's the quick schematic, not that it really, is that important right now, but I've got a microcontroller, I've got an LCD display, and I've got our kickstart circuit and a DC to DC converter. The whole thing is being powered by, right now, 2 AA cells, but of course I'm going to, incorporate the quadruple A cells, but I just happen to have a AA cell holder, and so I went with that, and that's easily changeable. Had to do a little bit of signal conditioning. There's a threshold pot here that I'll show you on the actual board. So here's the actual board that I've wired. It has the LCD display. It's a 2-line by 16 character ASCII readout. This pot right here is adjustable for the threshold. I have a reset button for the processor. It's not necessary in the long run. I just like to have that when I'm prototyping so I can quickly reset without having to power it down. This button right here will be used to reset the count. Right now it's not connected. And so all the other ancillary components here are for the kickstart circuit and for the reset circuit. So underneath here I have a DC to DC converter that's taking the 3 volts, bumps it up to 10 because we need the 10 volt for the kickstart. And then on the back side I have a 5 volt regulator which brings it down to 5 so that we can maintain the 5 volts not only for the processor and the LCD but also for the thermistor. And so so here is the circuit. I've got a long set of leads here that is being hooked up to the block which has the thermistor inside of it. And so when we initially turn it on here, let me orient it so you can see. So we'll turn it on. It's going to go through and reset the breaths as it says 0 for breaths, and the threshold voltage is currently set to 3.68, which is way too high. So we can back that down or change it, as you can see, to any value you'd like. And so of course it counted a breath right there because I went below the value of the actual DC standby voltage, which is right around 2.3 volts. So if we keep this at about 2.5, right around 2.5, I can breathe into this. And let me reset the unit so that it starts at 0. If I just breathe into this, following the flow here, I can make that thing go. So there's a breath. Has pretty good hysteresis. I don't have any bounce. Again, you can set that threshold wherever you like. So right now I've got it counting up to obviously 9,999 breaths. I can go higher if you want. We've got plenty of room, but in any case, easily changeable. And so that's where it's at right now. I wrote the code for this. I've got assembly language as well as a C program running in that processor. So my next step really is to get this button here to reset the value of the breaths, and then for it to also remember the value of the breaths when the power is turned off. So right now if I turn this off and I turn it back on, it'll start. Well, it starts at 1 because it sees the hysteresis. It's that reset. I can make that go away if I just change this to a higher value. And if I turn it on and turn it off and on. Yeah, that first breath, I can put a delay in there so it doesn't see that. If this is selected higher, it won't transition through that when you first power it on. Either way, I can eliminate that issue without a problem. So I don't see that as an issue. So that's where we're at right now. You can see about the size of it. Again, this is just a prototype. The LCD display obviously dominates the size of this thing right now, but by and large, it's working pretty good. I'm very happy with it. Like I said, the next step is to incorporate any changes perhaps you would like, as well as anything else. I would like to get this second button to work so that it resets the breaths, and then also that it remembers the breaths when powered down. I don't see that as a huge challenge at this point. All right.